Hey everyone, Sharp here, and welcome to the first part of my data mine analysis slash breakdown slash first impressions thingy-majingy video series that I'm just going to be doing today. So anyway, let's just start off with my personal favorite from the bunch of new units that we're getting, which is going to be Nessa, and she's going to be the one I'm going to be personally spending gems on, and I'll basically tell you why when we get into the video. So let's just start off with her. She's a water tech. It's certainly not anything new. We've got like May, we've got Wallace, we've got... Yeah, okay, I guess there's not too many water techs off the top of my head. But yeah, she is another water tech, and she's got a grass weakness with the following team skills, just water, galar, gym leader, and artistic. It's a shame that she doesn't have 5, but I guess it's not the biggest deal in the world. Let's look at her passive skills first. We've got Restrained Power Up 5, which powers up moves when the target is restrained. Oh no, when the user is restrained, never mind. Not when the target is restrained, but that doesn't really matter since Jawlock restrains both you and the target. If anything, this is better for like full force battles and stuff, because it's applying to you, and the effect, like, you're more likely to kill the opponent before the opponent kills you, so having the effect linger on yourself is very nice. So basically that means that her first Jawlock, which obviously applies restrain to both herself and her target, is going to hit a little bit weaker than the subsequent ones, since obviously you're not restrained yet by the first one. But the second ones are just going to get a very nice 50% boost in power, which is pretty nice. Then we've got Ripple Effect 9, which is when a move is used by the opponent. When a move used by the opponent lowers an opponent's stat, it lowers the same stat for all opposing sync pairs. So basically this is just like Go Viral 9 except for stat reduction moves instead of status moves. And basically turns Rock Tomb into a kind of Electro Web, except that it doesn't damage the sides as far as I'm aware. It just lowers their speed, while only the mid takes damage, but it's not like you're using Electro Web for the damage anyway. Personally, not the biggest deal in the world. I don't think this is particularly interesting. I see why she has it. Like, obviously she can use it to partner up with other speed dropping units like Clement or Valerina if you have her, or anything else basically that benefits from speed being lowered. But I just personally think that this unit doesn't need it so much herself, so I guess it's kind of like nice to have, but not that important. Then the third passive is Restrained Freebie 3, which has a 40% chance of applying the free move next effect to the user when an attack move is successful when the user is restrained. It's quite the long description actually. But anyway, basically this is fantastic. This is a really, really great passive. You've got 40% chance of your moves just not costing any gauge while you're restrained. So it's like way, way better than a move gauge refresh. So it saves you 3 gauges instead of 1. So that's super, super nice, and really helps offset her rather poor speed stat, which I guess we can now get into. So she's got, for looking at her stats, she's got pretty good HP, I'd say 679. That's 779 if you 20 out of 20 her. Then we've got 311 attack, which it's okay. Like it's higher than average, I guess, but it's nothing too impressive. But since techs have all these damage multipliers, the attack stat not being the highest isn't too bad. Plus, it's a pretty respectable 351 when 20 out of 20. Defense is good. Actually, really quite nice for a non-support. Special attack is irrelevant. Special defense is poor, but serviceable. It's like you're not going to immediately die to a special attack, but you really aren't going to be taking multiple ones either. And speed, as we already said, is not particularly good, but she has loads of ways around this poor speed, one of them being the passive that we were just talking about. Right, so let's look at the moves. Training move is Wash 'em Away, which sharply raises the user's attack, raises the user's critical hit rate, and in addition drastically raises the user's speed while the weather is raining. So basically, if you get an MP refresh on this, Nessa is completely self-sufficient. She can maximize her attack and maximize her crit rate with one MP refresh. And as you can see here on the sync grid, it's got an MP refresh 3, so that's super nice. Pretty good chance of proccing that. Then we've got Rock Tomb. As we said, like, I'm not the biggest fan of using Rock Tomb Nessa. You're going to be using her, I think, for either for water or dark DPS. And Rock Tomb just, I don't, like, you could use it to, like, set up a little bit before your sync move if you don't bring support, if you bring a support that can buffer up, but, and like, obviously Hilbert is obviously a water support that can do the exact same thing as her trainer move can, except apply it to the team, but I don't know, it just doesn't really seem worth it to me, since her other two moves are just like so much better. Then we have Jawlock, which is a new move and Drednaw's signature move in the main series games. It's got a really nice base power, 140 to 168, basically 168 at 5 out of 5. Complete 100% accurate and applies restraint effect to the target and the user. So that's super nice. Basically, Pokemon Masters, I think, just boosts up the power of moves when they have like a drawback, a negative effect, and yeah, so apparently DNA considers the fact that you restrain yourself as a setback for Nessa, while restrain really doesn't do anything apart from not allow you to switch, which you can't do in single player anyway, and would only apply in co-op. But like in co-op, when are you even switching? And maybe even more importantly, why are you even playing co-op? There's nothing really to do there at the moment. So yeah, basically you can't switch with because of Jawlock, but it does give you it does activate 2 of your passives, so that's absolutely fantastic. So basically, the way I'd intend on using Nessa is as a secondary dark DPS. I don't have Marnie, and therefore I've been kind of looking for a really good dark DPS that doesn't require much help, and is like self-sufficient, and this is just perfect for that. I think I just hit my microphone there, sorry if you heard that. But basically, this is a huge base power move. At 5 out of 5, 168, you get the 50% extra from your restrained power up. You get another multiplier on your grid, which gets you up to, I think, a 70% increase. And a 70% increase on this move is really scary stuff. So basically, I'd be using her alongside Fervert, or like Halloween Hilbert, if yeah, as the main dark type attacker. And this one just like hitting from the side, it's gonna be excellent. But of course, she's a water type, and we have Razor Shell as the damaging water move, which has a good chance, I believe good is 50% chance of lowering the target's defense, which is obviously fantastic for a physical water type. And it's got at 5 out of 5, 123 base power. It's not completely accurate, so you are going to miss now and then, but rarely enough, I'd say. Then for the sync move, we've got this power, we've got Flood the Stadium Liquidation, and its power increases if the target is restrained. So like, Nessa's whole thing is about like being restrained herself and the target being restrained, so pretty nice. Let's have a look at our sync grid. So let's just start off with the one that I probably like would go myself if I managed to get multiple copies of her. So as I said, I think I prefer to use, I think her main niche is as a secondary dark type damage dealer, so I'd definitely be going like the Jawlock route. You've got the Restrained Recovery here. It restores the Pokemon HP whenever it takes an action while it's restrained. So basically, every single move you'll be healing, which is super nice on a like double offensive, on a hyper offense team with like Maitena and Drednaw, because you're more. It's kind of likely that when your support goes down, Drednaw will be targeted, and having since it's quite a bit bulkier than Maitena. And so having the recovery after your support goes down, it really is pretty nice. But it's not a must-have if you don't think that Drednaw will end up being targeted or being hit by AoE moves or anything like that. And then we've got the Hold Hostage 2, which powers up moves when the target is restrained by an extra 20%. So again, that's a pretty nifty little multiplier on Jawlock. Then, other than that, it's kind of open for what you want to take, because Oh, actually, I just realized you can't even see on this layout how much energy is remaining, but trust me, I'll tell you when the energy's filled up. So, like, these I think are the most important nodes if you're going the Drednaw route. Obviously, you can just, like, pick up all of this as well. And then I'd probably just take, yeah, just like the Rock to Move Gauge, Refresh, a couple of power-ups, and then there's nothing really all too much that it's particularly important to pick up. Oh no, never mind, sorry. Trainer Move MP Refresh is huge since that makes her self-sustainable. Then I'd actually quite like to pick up this Special Defense plus 20, so I think I'd remove 2 of these power-ups and just pick up the Special Defense plus 20, which makes her kind of bulky with the Restrained Recovery. Makes her stats a lot nicer. And then, yeah, I've got 2 energy remaining, so I'll just take another attack. And then basically this is the Dark type Drednaw build that I'd probably go for. Other than that, a Water type build is totally viable. The thing with this is, though, like, you obviously want to be running her in Rain, and if you run her alongside May for your Rain, it's kind of superfluous, since May is already fantastic Water type Sync Nuke. This is much better being run alongside something in my opinion, like Winona or Egg Blastoise, who can provide Rain for you instead of May, and just using May on a different stage, because I mean, like, of course you can use them together, but May's Sync Nuke is just so much easier to activate than Drednaw's is. But if you want to go for the just pure water DPS in Rain while having May Sync, that's definitely viable as well. You can just like get the Trainer Move MP Refresh, which I think is really important since it makes her entirely self-sufficient. And we've got Racing Rain, Raging Rain, Shower Power if you want to go for the Sync move, which let's just pick that up just to see. And then we've got something like this. Actually, I would prefer to pick up Relentless. The more the target's defense has been lowered, the more this powers up Sync moves, yeah. And basically that would probably be the kind of Water type Sync Nuke node, Sync Nuke route that I'd go. Definitely something like this. I don't think picking up Hunter's Instinct or Cakewalk is worth it, since getting Cakewalk to proc to any kind of meaningful damage increase is would take far too many Rock Tombs and far too many just like spamming weak moves that you just have better things to be doing in the meantime. So I don't think that using this is worth it. Move Gauge Refresh, I don't think this is worth it either. You can just use one Jaw Lock, and then while your target's restrained, you've got a 30% chance of having free Razor Shells all the time. So, and plus you've got Racing Rain anyway. Like the move gauge is going to charge like absolute, like it's going to be absolute bananas, especially if you use it with May or Egg Blastoise. You also have Racing Rain, and alternative like routes where you just use Drednaw as a water DPS while May does the Sync move. It's just like picking up all of this. Yeah, this is kind of all you need. No way you can get to Hold Hostage. Maybe just pick up more stat nodes, I guess, here. You pick up the special defense. Yeah, there you go. See, you got an extra attack and get the special defense here. That's all you need. Yeah, and other than that, I've already mentioned why I don't think that using a Rock Tomb build is particularly viable. Cakewalk is one of the shittiest Sync move multipliers that there is, since it depends on opponent debuffs. The debuffs don't seem to actually do anything to the opponent, since they still spam moves out. Since they just alternate, like, I don't know, it just doesn't. Cakewalk, I really hate it. And Hunter's Instinct is like Cakewalk, except that it's for normal moves instead of regular moves. So she has so many multipliers on her grid, but I think these two can be quite happily ignored, to be honest. But yeah, like, this is kind of how I'd use Drednaw. I think, like, as I said, the Dark DPS Side Striker thing she has going for her, if you don't have Marnie, is superb quality. And since there aren't too many good Dark type damage dealers in the game at the moment, there's only really like Myena, Houndoom, Marnie obviously, and this now. as far as I'm aware. I might be missing something, but don't think I am. But yeah, anyway, this was the video on covering Nessa. I'm going to be summoning her for her. Obviously, she's my favorite Galarian gym leader. She's super hot, obviously, and she's just my favorite Galarian character in general. Drednaw, I think, is also pretty cool. I used that on my Pokemon Sword playthrough and was super impressed with it. Yeah, basically, I think what she can offer me is a lot more bigger than the other units that are coming out this state of mine. Although there are some really hype ones as well, I do have to say. Chief among them, Bea, which I think is objectively the best unit coming out now. And that's going to be the next video. So it's a nice little segue. So see you later, and see you in the next one.